Hello everyone. Uh, it was maybe sometime during the last year when I found this one. Sex Pistols, The Great Rock and Roll Swindle, back with Rock Around the Clock. Now, I already thought that before this that I had all the Sex Pistols singles. So that made me think that, well, I don't have any other punk singles besides Sex Pistols, so maybe I should start collecting some punk singles. I actually did have 4 singles, I just didn't remember it at that moment. So first let's go through those 4 singles. First one, Dead Kennedys, Too Drunk to Fuck, back with The Prey. Dead Kennedys, Holiday in Cambodia, back with Police Truck. These two I remember buying on the same day sometime during the early 90s. And it didn't take long for me to find a third one, Dead Kennedys, Nazi Punks Fuck Off, and Moral Majority. But those were the only punk singles besides Sex Pistols that I bought for a very long time. It took maybe about 25 years or so before this one was reissued. Buzzcocks Spiral Scratch EP, 4 tracks including Breakdown, Time's Up, Boredom, and Friends of Mine. After buying that Sex Pistols single, during the next few months, I did buy 2 singles, but I just bought them. I didn't think about starting collecting them. First one was the Jam Beat Surrender, and this is a double 7-inch single. Includes Move On Up, Stoned Out of My Mind, Shopping, and War. And the second single was Buzzcocks Everybody's Happy Nowadays, back with Why Can't I Touch It. Like I said, that didn't make me think of starting to collect them. And it was only a few months ago I found 2 Finnish punk singles. And when I bought those singles, I thought that, okay, I don't have any other Finnish punk singles. Again, I did have a few, but that made me think again about starting to collect punk singles. But I decided to go with the simple way. I decided that I would buy only one single from each of the few of the most well-known, most successful punk bands. And it didn't have to be any specific single, just any single from those bands. And I went that way simply because I thought that trying to collect all of those singles would be very, very difficult. And on the other hand, if I would decide to buy something less known like X-Ray Specs, it would be very difficult to find them, and if I would find them, they would be very expensive. So the first one that I found was The Clash, English Civil War, back with Pressure Drop. Next one was one that I wanted to find a specific single, and it wasn't difficult to find this. This is Boomtown Rats, Looking After Number 1, Born to Burn, and live version of Barefootin'. Next one was Stranglers, Golden Brown, back with Love 30. Next one was surprisingly difficult. This is Ramones, Rock and Roll High School, back with Danny Says. I was expecting to find several Ramones singles, but I only found this and Don't Come Close. And Don't Come Close didn't have a picture sleeve, so I went with this one. Yeah, surprisingly difficult. And the last one was also very difficult because I wanted to find a specific single. I wanted to find Damned, New Rose, but it turned out to be very difficult. I found out that there are at least 4 different pressings of that single, but every one of those pressings are very expensive. So in the end, I went with Friday 13th EP. This is from 1981. So I knew that this would be very different to what I already knew from Damned. I'm only familiar with their first album and Machine Gun Etiquette. So yeah, this would be very difficult, and it was. It's very different, but I do like it for what it is. Includes Disco Man, The Limit Club, Billy Bad Breaks, and Citadel. Yeah. Okay. So, as a record collector, what happens when you have the starting point? You decide that I will start collecting from here, and here's the point where you finally find the last one you are looking for. What happens in a time in between? You will find something else, and that's what happened with me too. So I also found Boomtown Rats, I Don't Like Mondays, back with It's All the Rage. Buzzcocks, Promises, Lipstick. Stranglers, Nice and Sleazy, back with Shut Up. That's a great B-side, just barely over 1 minute. Great song. And this one was unusual. When I saw this, I was thinking that I didn't know that they had a release like this. So I was wondering that what is it? This is a Jam live EP. Includes Move On Up, The Great Depression, Get Yourself Together, and But I'm Different Now. But yeah, finding out was very simple. All I had to do was look at the catalog number. It says Snap L45. So I figured out that this had been originally issued as a bonus disc on a double compilation LP Snap. So, like I said, I found 2 Finnish singles. Both of these are debut singles by these bands. And when I bought these, I thought that, okay, I don't have any other Finnish punk singles, and I should collect also few of the Finnish punk bands. And also I had 4 other singles at that point. Again, I just didn't think of it at that moment. But okay, let's go first to those 2 singles. This is Ypä5, Energia on A ja O, Kotka palaa. And this was originally their self-financed, self-released single. Next one is Eppu Normaali, Poliisi pamputtaa taas, Elviksen kuolema. And this was a band that became the most commercially successful band of all time in Finland. Yeah, the singles that I had at that moment, let's go first through 3 of those. First one is Ser Snell 1979 EP, includes Älä itke susi, Jos sä lähdet juokseen, Tätä se on, Alistu ja alista. But this is an unusual recording. This was a very short-lived punk band in around 78. They only released 3 singles and a few tracks on what would you call it? It was an album released by a record company, and it included songs from a few different bands on that label. But all of the songs on that album were new recordings. It wasn't a compilation album as such. So yeah, like I said, this was a very short-lived band. A few years ago they had a short reunion to record this EP, but these are not new songs. These are songs that they had already back in 78 or 79, but they didn't record them back then. So these are new recordings of the old songs. Okay, next one, Sensuuri. Kirjoitan seinään, back with Olet sokea. And Problems, Ei tää lama päähän käy, back with Häirikkö oot. So yeah, I have those 3 plus 1 more, which I will get back to it in a moment. So I decided on buying few of the most well-known punk bands. And first one was Lama. This is the only hardcore punk band in Finland that I am interested in. Great stuff. This is Ajatuksen loppu, Mun pelko. And this was the last of their 4 singles. And I had a friend back in the mid 80s. It was around 85 that he tried to find all of these 4 singles. And when you think that it was only about 2-3 years after the release of these singles, they were already difficult to find back then, with the exception of this one. This one was easier to find back then. And by the way, majority of these Finnish punk singles that I have are reissues, like this one, for example. Yeah. Okay, the second Lama single, Nimetön. This, like I said, they only had 4 singles. This was one of the singles that my friend didn't find back then. So I found this one, but I'm still missing 2 of those. 2 of their singles, so I am hoping to find them. Let's see which other songs this one had. Nimetön, Ainoa lajissaan ja Jeesukset. And now the 4th single that I had when I bought those first 2, Lama Apuri EP. This was also their reunions EP. 4-track EP includes Kadunmies, Pakkoloma, Apuri, Sähköä ilmassa. They also just reunited to record this EP. Very similar to what they did 30 years earlier. Okay, so there were only a few bands, like 3. Yeah, only 3 bands that I wanted to buy singles from. And one of the bands was Briard, and I wanted to find their 1st or 4th single. First one because of 2 reasons. Their first single was first Finnish punk single released, and also it was the debut recording of Andy McCoy, who later would be in Hanoi Rocks. And the 4th single was their last single, and it was the debut recording of Nasty Suicide, also a member of Hanoi Rocks. But I didn't find either one of those. I found the 2nd single. This is Fuck the Army, product of the TV generation. Next one I wouldn't have really needed, but well, it was cheap, so I wanted to buy this Ypä5. Me myytiin itsemme, kaupunki muistaa nuoria. And I wanted to buy this simply because I find this Me myytiin itsemme to be quite hilarious song. It translates as we sold ourselves. And the debut single had been the self-financed, self-released single, and this one was the debut single for a major label. The major label actually had at this point only 3 bands signed, so it wasn't a big label, but simply because their first single had been self-released and now they were on a label, so they wrote a song about mocking themselves for signing up to a big corporate label. So yeah, the number one thing that I wanted was the most successful band artist in Finland, and I wanted to find a specific single, but I didn't. So in the end I found this one, Pelle Miljoona ja Avoimet ovet. Songs are Avoimet ovet and Jalokiviä yössä. This one being my favorite album from him, so I was very happy to find this single. But it was only like 2 or 3 days later I went to record fair and I did find a single that I was looking for. This is Pelle Miljoona Oy, Olen kaunis, älä äiti itke. And I wanted to find this single because this one is the debut recording of Sam Jaffa, who actually is not on the front sleeve here. He is here on the back sleeve, but I don't know, can you tell? That's Sam Jaffa there. Also from Hanoi Rocks. And yesterday when I bought the damn single, I also found, well, not from the same store, but I yesterday also bought Lamf, Suomi ryömii taas, back with viimeistä päivää. This was a punk band from the early to mid-90s. I saw them live a few times back then, but I didn't buy any recordings from them back then. Until now, this is just a brand new release, released last Friday. Yeah, good early 90s punk. I don't know, have they been active all this time, or is this their reunion recording or what? I don't know. Yeah, that's it for this time. Thanks for watching. Hope you like this. Leave a comment. Bye.